Alright, so we just launched my light leak pack, the Jake Weisler Wedding Collection. Super stoked about it. Love these leaks. It was fun making them. They're different, they're unique, and I hope you can find a place for them in your wedding films. I just want to quickly show you guys how to apply them. You guys had a few questions about just the best way, so I'm just going to kind of give you an example of 3. It's very simple. They're kind of just drag and drop with a few minor tweaks here and there. So here I've downloaded the file from the website after you buy them. You open the zip and you just import them right into Premiere as movie files. So here they all are. And I went through and selected 3 of the ones I want to show you. We have Ambience White, really pretty, kind of like a rainbow and distortions there. We have Ambience Rainbow 2, which I love because it has some white, but then also this little rainbow flare coming in. And I haven't seen a lot of that online, so I really like that look. And then we have this transition one I want to show you guys. It's just a really quick, really fast transition there. Okay, so let's start off with what you do. So first you want to have your clip you want. It looks more natural and best if you have sun coming through the image. I'll show you a clip without sun coming through the image, but this one has the sun behind them, so it's going to look a lot more natural. And then here I have my clip. So all you do, this is for Premiere, but I'm pretty sure it applies to Final Cut Pro 2 as well. And right now I'm on a very widescreen aspect ratio. If the light leak doesn't fill up your entire screen, just make it a little bit bigger. They are 4K, so you should be able to just scale it a little bit higher or lower depending on what your sequence settings are. So you go into here and you go to opacity and go from normal to screen. And it takes out all the black in your image and just puts it as an overlay. You don't need to crossfade them in and out. We've already done that before we export them out, so you can just drag and drop them. If it's a little bit too much for you, you can just go over here to opacity and lower the intensity. So maybe you just want it to be kind of a subtle light leak, which is fine. Come through and it's very subtle, looks very good, maybe even less at 30%. Still looks very natural and beautiful. It will, raise some of your blacks up a little bit. That's just the thing with light leaks. They do that. So if you want to crush your black still, you can. But that's all I would do to it. And I kind of like it up at, 70, 80. I think it looks really pretty. Number 2, we have this rainbow clip. It starts off with a little bit white on the side, and then it comes in with this rainbow. I only want the rainbow part, so I'm going to cut the rest of it out. Same theme. Go to screen. And boom. So there's no sun coming in. There is sun on her face, and because she's looking at the sun, I want to have that be on that side of her. If it was the other way, you can just go into effects and do a horizontal flip, and it will change sides, but we're not going to do that. So let's just see what it looks like at 100% intensity. Very pretty. So again, you can lower it if you want to, make it less intense. I think it's really pretty. I like the rainbow look, I'll be honest. Okay, and then moving on to our last one, a transition. This one's a little bit different from the rest. So we'll go to screen. And what you want to do with transitions when you're going from one clip to the next is make sure the brightest part of the transition is on the cut of the clips. So for this one, it's right about here. So we're pretty close already. I want that to be right over when the clips cut together, so it transitions more nicely. As you can see, boom. If it was like way over here and it transitioned and then changed clips, it doesn't look as natural. So you want it to be right on the transition right there. Maybe you want it to be less. With transitions, I kind of like it being more intense, being brighter, to kind of distract from the transition, but it's up to you. So there you have it. There's just an example of how I apply those light leaks. You can buy the pack below if you haven't already using that link. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Hey guys, I want to talk about letterboxing and aspect ratios real quick. A lot of you were asking about how I letterbox my films, how I adjust the aspect ratio, how I apply those black bars without actually adding black bars, and then also exporting out from mobile and Instagram despite what aspect ratio it has. So a lot to cover really quick. It's all very simple, just knowing what to do and how to do it. So we'll take my most recent film, for example. Here we have the video of Candace and Noah. Gorgeous video, and what you're seeing here in the top right hand corner is the aspect ratio of 16:9. This is 4K footage. but the principles will apply to whatever footage you have, whether it's 6K, 4K, 1080p, 720p. What I teach will apply to all of it. However, let's say you want more of a widescreen look, more of a cinematic movie look. The most popular widescreen look right now is 2.39, or in other words, the 21:9 aspect ratio. And it looks more like this. Okay, so now you see it's a lot wider, but there's no black bars, it's just a wider screen. In other words, it's like I just cropped the aspect ratio without adding black bars, it's just naturally as is. But if I went full screen, you'll see here that the black bars exist because of my computer screen, and it stretches out to fill the frame. So that would be the 2.39 aspect ratio, which I love. However, I do things a little bit more difficult than everyone should or need to. I like uploading my videos to Instagram. I like providing a Instagram friendly version to post, and if I sent the widescreen version to my couple and they wanted to upload that to Instagram, it would crop it to 16:9, and thus, which is fine, it might work, but it would crop out a great chunk of each side, and maybe that ruins the entire shot. Maybe the subject is on the far right, like this guy would be completely cropped out on Instagram. So I also provide a 16:9 aspect ratio for mobile Instagram and social media posting, as well as my high quality 4K widescreen version, and here's how I do that. It's overkill. You might say it's unnecessary, but I think it's worth it. I like providing a full screen 16:9 mobile friendly version, as well as a high quality 4K cinematic widescreen version. And it's up to you what you want to do. So pretty simple setting. All we have to do to create a widescreen sequence on Premiere Pro is go to File, New Sequence. We'll just select the digital SLR with the 1080p 24. Go to Settings, and here's where you'll create your aspect ratio. So because I'm working with 4K on the 1DX, it has a horizontal, meaning all the pixels that go across the bottom of the screen, width of 4096. It has a height of 2160. But I want it to be more widescreened, and so what I'm going to do is take my horizontal value, whether that's 4096 or 1080p or 720p, whatever, and divide that by 2.39. So just go to your calculator here and do 4096 divided by 2.39 equals, and we got about 1714 or 1713.8. So I'll plug in 1714 here. Hit OK. Make sure this all matches up. You can call this whatever you want. We'll call it widescreen 2.39 and hit OK. And boom, you see here it is letterboxed. So you can drag your footage into there and just hit keep existing settings, and it will automatically adjust. But that is how you create a 2.39 aspect ratio. Now, if you want to have a mobile-friendly version, 16:9, and also a letterbox version, I edit my entire videos in the 16:9 aspect ratio right here. It's all 16:9. And then what I do is I copy the entire sequence, everything in the sequence, go to my widescreen sequence and hit paste. Boom. And there it is. So now everything is in the wide aspect ratio. However, doing it this way means you have to go through each clip and adjust the framing if needs be, and also reanalyze the warp stabilizer, which I don't mind doing. So if you have a quicker way for me, please let me know. But that way I can have a letterbox version here, and I'll export that in 4K for Vimeo and for YouTube, and to deliver them as the highest possible quality file, and then I send them a 1080p version of this 16:9 version and say here's what I would use post on Instagram, or just keep on your phone forever because it's full frame. And then to export this out, you do the same thing you do exporting out anything else. You do Command M, make sure the preset is custom, name it what you want, make sure the dimensions are correct, and go through the same settings we did last time. So again, super easy. If you want the widescreen version, take your horizontal axis and divide it by 2.39. plug that number that you get in as the vertical access, and there you have 21:9 or 2.39 aspect widescreen ratio. And I personally am loving the widescreen look. I think it just makes it look more cinematic. But again, this all comes down to personal preference and what you like and what you don't like. You can play with it and make it wider. You can play with it and make it not as wide. That's the aspect ratio that I've been using for my recent wedding films. And this is all a technique I learned from Travis Transient. You can check him out on YouTube. We'll put the link below. But guys, if you have any further questions, please let me know. Alright, export settings. Guys, there's a billion ways to do this, but I'm just going to quickly walk you through my export settings for 1, client delivery / Vimeo or YouTube uploading, and 2, Instagram uploading. First, client delivery / Vimeo or YouTube upload. Now, a lot of videographers separate those into 2 different settings, but I deliver it the same. So here we have our video. This is a 4K video file, and we'll be exporting it out in 4K. This was shot on the 1DX, so the 4K file size is a little larger than usual 4K, which I'll show you in a second. So here we have our video file. I'll hit Command M to bring up my export settings, or you can just go to File and Export. Once the export window is open, here at the top we have our format. Always choose H.264 for best results. For preset, select Custom so we can adjust every little thing the way we want to. Change the name of the file to whatever you want and select the destination, and then make sure both the audio and video boxes are checked. There we have a summary of the settings, and as you can see, it's rendered at 24 frames per second and 4K, which for the 1DX is 4096 by 2160. Next box, all I worry about is the video tab. I leave everything else at default, but here's a quick look at my audio tab if you're curious or if your settings are different. In the video tab, make sure to check render at maximum depth for best, cleanest results. In the encoding settings, all we want to change is the profile from main to high. This will result in a crisper encoding. In the bitrate settings, I choose CBR and set it to about 80. The higher the bitrate, the cleaner your footage will be, but you don't want it to be a ginormously huge file, you still want it to be somewhat compressed. So at 80, it's a higher file size, but you'll see less artifacts in your image, and it will overall be much cleaner. And then the last thing I do is check the use maximum render quality box, and boom, you're done. You can see here that the file size will be about 2 gigabytes, and that's the file that I'll send to my clients and also upload right to Vimeo and or YouTube. For Instagram, still here in our project file, hit Command M or File Export to bring up the export window. Make sure it's set to H.264, but then for preset, I just select high quality 1080p HD. If you have some black bars on the top or bottom, just go to the top left and hit Scale to Fill. Check render at maximum depth and set your profile to high. I leave the default bitrate for that preset and check use maximum render quality, and done. All I do then is airdrop the 1080p file to my phone or send it to myself in Google Drive, WeTransfer, Dropbox, email, whatever, and upload it right to Instagram. The reason you shouldn't upload a 4K video file to Instagram is because of how horrible Instagram will compress it. You want to export out a 1080p or 720 file so it can look the best as possible on Instagram. So there's a quick look at my export settings. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know. Welcome to the marketing section of Wedding Video Pro. Everything you've learned so far is to help you become a talented and creative videographer, but all of that is useless if you do not know how to market yourself. As Parker always says, content is king and distribution is queen.
What that means is it doesn't matter how good your videos are, if nobody sees those videos, you'll never land clients. You need to learn the power of marketing and how to successfully get your work out there, and more importantly, how to get it seen by the right people.
In this section, we'll be walking you through how to use a business account for Instagram and Facebook, and using both of those platforms to run successful ad campaigns using Facebook Ad Manager. I'll also be walking you through my process for uploading your videos to Instagram while maintaining the highest possible quality. We'll talk about how to use hashtags, engaging your audience, and making your brand attractive.
And like we've said before, all we can teach you is from our own experience. These are the methods that have worked for us. I've personally been able to get hundreds of wedding inquiries just by posting my work on YouTube using good keywords, titles, and thumbnails, while Jake has experienced experimented much more with getting his content found through Instagram and through hashtags on Instagram and through collaborations. So together we'll be able to teach you everything we know about how to market yourself effectively.
Before you dive in, go ahead and create a business account on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram, so you can't have an Instagram account for your business without a Facebook one first. It's very simple, but if you have any problems with it, just let us know by emailing us at support@fulltimefilmmaker.com.
Once you're all set up, go ahead and dive in, and if you have any further questions, please let us know.
How to build a portfolio. So maybe you're just starting out and maybe you don't have any weddings under your belt and you're struggling to know where to get started to find clients. That's okay. That's where we all start. And we're going to talk about how you can overcome that barrier in this video. Now, you got to keep in mind that this job is essentially filming the most important day of someone's life and turning it into a beautiful video. There's a lot of pressure. So naturally, when a potential client is looking for a videographer, they won't choose you if they can't trust you'll do a great job. Clients want to see what you can do. They want to be so seduced by your wedding videos that they feel a need for you to be at their wedding. I had one client who loved my work so much that she literally moved her wedding date up a week so that I would be available. A little extreme, but you know, when you're this good. Okay. So how do you get there with no portfolio? Well, you make one. Your Instagram account should be all set up by now and you should understand the basics of distributing your content. But first, you need content to distribute. There are a couple ways to start building your portfolio. First, find friends or people who weren't planning on having a wedding videographer. Odds are, if they weren't planning on one, they wouldn't be opposed to you filming it for free. Now, I say for free because your payment is having a portfolio, which ultimately will make you more money. If they have a budget for it and they want to pay you, then good for you, but starting off in this business is hard unless you start making sacrifices, which is doing weddings for free or cheap until your portfolio expands. My first few weddings were done very cheap because I needed the content to build my portfolio, and that content landed me tons of clients and ultimately paid me way more than I imagined. Second option, if you can't find anyone who's getting married, film couple sessions. You need content that shows what you can do. Essentially, you need content that will help a potential client feel the love that you're capturing. So ask 2 of your friends to get dressed up, go to a gorgeous location, have them read letters to each other or tell how they met, and then overlay their story with gorgeous footage of them at that stunning location being in love. This could even come off as an elopement type video and people will eat it up because you're showing what you can do when you're put with a couple, and that builds trust with the client and they want the video you did done for them. Another option would be to reach out to some videographers in your area and ask to shout at them during a wedding. Ask if they need help or if they'd just be cool with you following them around. Most videographers would love it, and I always let people who shadow me film whatever they want as long as they don't get in my way. Doesn't matter how much you shot, turn it into something you can distribute. Distribute your content on Instagram using the ways we talked about earlier in this section. Get that gorgeous content seen by as many people as you can, and then start saying yes to those inquiries that hopefully will start pouring in. Understand that you're just starting out and you need experience and a portfolio. So take whatever gigs you can and then work your way up. I hope that helps you understand ways that you can quickly build a portfolio. Again, these are ways that have worked for me and others in my social circle, and they've proven to be fruitful. And I'm confident that they can do the same for you. But that's it for now. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know.
All right, people, let's talk about Instagram and how to use it to market yourself to land paying clients. A phrase that I use quite often is content is king and distribution is queen. First and foremost, you have to create great content, but the second most important thing is to effectively distribute that content. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to effectively distribute your content using Instagram. Now, we're going to be focusing specifically on a case study of my assistant, Jake Weisler, who has been using Instagram as his sole means of marketing his wedding video business for the past 2 years. But the principles we teach here can be applied to landing clients for other types of videos as well. Jake and I have explored just about everything there is to explore when it comes to Instagram, and we're excited to share with you everything we know about how to use Instagram to its fullest potential right now. So let's dive in.
All right, so if you haven't already, make sure to create a business account for your Instagram page. It's linked with Facebook, so you'll have to create both. A business account is way better than a personal account because of all the data that you have access to. You can see how many accounts you've reached in the last week, how many people you've reached. You can see how many views each of your posts are getting, and where most of your followers are based out of. All of that helps a ton when you're creating promotions, which we'll talk about later. And you can see how old your followers are, along with the times of day that most of your followers are online. So go ahead and create a business Instagram account before moving forward.
Now, Instagram is a vast tool with endless uses and possibilities.
And the way we use Instagram might not be the best way for you to use Instagram, but like anything in this business, I hope you'll find some great insight on things to apply to your business that work for you. Anything can be customized to a specific business, so it's up to you to take what you learn here and mold it to your brand. All right, first things first, let's talk about your appearance. Let's talk about your branding. Your brand is what plays a large part in the type of clients you attract. What does your feed look like? What do your clients look like? What describes you in your bio? What's the name of your business? What's your account picture? All of those things make up your branding, and we're going to break down all of that right now. First, let's talk about your business name.
I get asked this question a lot, and my advice is to use your name as your business for industries like videography or photography, simply because you are the business. Your art, your video creations are the product. You are selling yourself as an individual capable of producing a beautiful video. So it makes more sense to use your name as the brand, since that's what people will link your work with. Generally speaking, people connect much better with people, not faceless companies or businesses. So by using your name, you make it easier for people to connect to your business because you are the business. That's why most successful YouTubers and most successful videographers and photographers all use their name as their business. Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, Adam Grumbo Films, Parker Welbeck Productions. Matty Hapoya's YouTube channel used to be called Travel Feels, but he smartly rebranded to his own name so that people would connect with him as the individual. Think how much less you'd be drawn to Peter McKinnon's channel if it was called Flamingo Films or something abstract like that. Now, one pro I do see to using an abstract name like that is that if you grow your business to a team of creators and want to phase yourself out or sell the business, it will be easier to do so if your name isn't attached to it. But I would argue that you could always just rebrand if you ever grow to that size. Point is, when starting out your own business, I believe it's going to be easiest to market yourself as an individual rather than as a faceless entity. So just something to keep in mind.
I used to go by Weisler Studios, but like Parker just said, I wanted my business to be more personable. Anyone can have the camera and lens I have and edit the way I do, but there can only be one Jake Weisler Films experience. And from my experience, that's a large reason people book you. People are just as concerned with how well they'll work with you as they are with how good your videos are. Moving on, under your account name, there's a light gray area where it defines what you are. On your Facebook business account, you can change this to whatever you want it to be. I chose event videographer. I'm not sure how much it helps. Maybe it does a little bit with the searching, but that's what I did. Under that, you have your bio. Mine used to say Salt Lake City based, wedding videographer, etc., etc., but it was just so busy looking, and I realized if I was already open to travel, why mention the location? And if my page was full of wedding videos already, why mention that I was a wedding videographer? So I cleaned it up, made it look more artsy, simplified it, and just put timeless wedding videos for adventurous couples with some pine trees. The pine trees help illustrate my vibe and my branding, and I want my feed to also illustrate that vibe.
Look how consistent Jake's feed is. His colors and thumbnails all match the other ones. As you can see, his colors are deep green, whites and blacks with warm tones, and it's consistent throughout all of his videos. It helps his Instagram page look consistent, clean, and professional. Imagine if his feed was overly saturated and bright on some posts and then dark and moody in other posts. People wouldn't be able to trust him and get a feel for what all of his videos look like, and wouldn't be 100% sure of what their wedding video would turn out to be.
I have highlighted stories above my feed, which honestly I just use to help people get to know me. They can watch those and see that I'm not this serious, solemn, intense videographer, but they like to have fun, be weird, and try new things, all while being as sincere as I can be. Again, these types of things have helped people trust me and love my brand. And to me, my brand is so much more than the videos I make. People could not care less if you have beautiful videos. If they know you're a nightmare to work with, they won't want to hire you. So there's a look at my feed. And again, the followers do not matter, but they definitely play a part in your brand. I noticed that once I passed the 10K mark, my clientele became higher paying. I was attracting people with larger followings who saw the number of followers as a testament to the video quality, which it isn't, but some people see it that way. It also helps validate my work. A large following can show that people love your work, they love your brand, and they want to continually support it.
Also, once you hit 10,000 followers, you can introduce links into your Instagram stories that people can easily swipe up to your videos or website, which has helped us engage our audience much more and get them to act on call to actions and send our potential clients right to our website.
And my following is completely natural and organic, which means I do not pay for followers, which I'm very proud of. As you post quality content consistently, your following will increase. Alright, so let's talk about using Instagram now. Hashtags are a great way to connect with other artists and also to be found. A lot of my weddings have come from a bride searching the hashtag wedding videographer and having tons of my videos pop up. Placing that hashtag under my videos has made me about $20,000 so far in the last 12 months. But there are thousands of people who use that hashtag. So again, if your content isn't up to par, people will just scroll past you and go to the better videos. Hashtags depend on a few things: your area, your work, and your target audience. I've spent the last 2 years finding the right hashtags that help my Instagram videos get great engagement, or in other words, get viewed and liked by many people and the right people, which mean more potential clients see it and want it for themselves.
Experiment, research, find hashtags that work for your brand. Follow photographers and videographers with a similar style to yours and or to a style that you want to achieve. I guarantee they have hashtags in their comments in their posts as well. Also, the more often that you like posts, Instagram will automatically suggest hashtags for you to follow that are based on those interests. In short, to get engagement, you need to be engaged. You want your videos to be as clean and crisp as possible when you upload them to Instagram. I've already talked about the best export settings for Instagram videos in the export settings video under the editing section inside the course, so rewatch that if you haven't already.
Once I export out a video, I just airdrop it to my phone and upload it right from my camera roll. If you don't have an iPhone, you can Dropbox it to yourself and download it onto your phone or any other number of file transfer methods. Once I select the file from my camera roll, you can choose to make it full screen or cropped. I personally like the full screen look, but you can do square formatting or whatever you want. Once you've chosen your format, you're taken to a page with 3 options: filter, trim, and cover. I hope you never use the filter option. You should have already color graded your video. Trim. This is where you can select your favorite sections of the video up to 60 seconds. Sometimes I make 60-second trailers of my wedding films. Sometimes I just upload 60 seconds from the final video. Regardless, I like to pick my favorite 60 seconds that illustrate the prettiest scenes and the most emotion. In other words, promoting my best work. I want to show what I can do for a bride and groom. Once you've selected the section you want, go to cover. When I select the cover for my video, I pull up my Instagram feed on my computer so I can make sure that the thumbnail will match my vibe. I want variety, but also consistency. I want the colors to match, but not be repetitive. Besides looking good on your feed, your main goal should be to choose a frame that makes people want to click on it. Once you choose, you're taken to the page where you can write the caption, tag people, and add locations along with posting it to your Facebook page, Twitter account, or wherever. Your captions can vary, but I've noticed that when I leave a cliffhanger in the comments, my video views go way up. Like in this video, I wrote his reaction is priceless. So now all my followers want to watch his reaction even though it's at the very end of the video. Stuff like that. I always tag the couple and any vendor involved that is highlighted in the clip, like the makeup artist, the florist, the photographer, the venue, etc. Because then they engage in the video and usually want to follow me and repost my work, which gets you more followers and seen by tons of potential brides who are following those vendors. Once the video is posted, I copy and paste my hashtags from my notes into my Instagram post. Then my viewers' comments start rolling in.
Instagram pushes your content on the Explore page if your engagement is doing well in a short period of time, aka if you're getting a lot of traffic on your post. Traffic meaning comments, likes, and views, but especially comments. So when the comments start coming in, I make sure to respond to as many comments as I can right away. This tells Instagram that a lot of people are commenting on the post, even though half of them might be me. Then Instagram pushes that video to the Explore page.
And if the thumbnail is catchy enough, people will view it like crazy. Like one of my videos, I got over 100,000 views in just 8 hours. This also helps build your brand by responding to your followers. People love validation. So when they follow you, comment on your stuff, and then you reply to them, they love it and want to comment more. It makes your brand personable and people love that.
Now, before you post, go to your analytics and see when most of your followers are online. You can check by going to the 3 lines in the top right, then Insights, then go to the Audience tab and scroll down. My best time to post is around noon every day, so I only post at noon 2 to 3 times a week.
I've experimented like crazy with promotions. They're not ads. They're just boosting your posts to get more likes, more views, more followers, and website visits. I've learned from intense trial and intense error that people will not book you based on one clip you throw on their feed. They want to explore all of your work because a wedding videographer is a huge decision. Whenever I do a promotion, it's to get people to visit my Instagram page. Why not my website? Because people mindlessly scrolling on Instagram are far more likely to visit an Instagram page than leave the app and scroll a website. That's why my website is at the very top of my Instagram page. If they like what they see, they can click on the link and contact me. But my page reflects a variety of my work at a very quick glance. It's the best of my work, and they can quickly watch it, see thousands of people commenting how much they love it, and it creates this desire inside this client to want it for themselves. Remember, people have about a 0.5 second attention span nowadays. Your feed should capture their attention right away.
So when you create a promotion, just go to the post, hit promote, and it brings you to this page of where to send people.
You can do what you want, but I always choose to send them to my profile as I mentioned earlier. Select target audience. I've experimented with this like crazy, so here's a look at my best promotion insight. Create an audience, name it what you want, and then select location. This is up to you, but if I'm promoting a wedding post that was filmed in Arizona or the desert, I want to target those locations. If I'm promoting something from Utah or the mountains, I do that as well. You can either target major cities or just the whole state. I personally target cities because I don't want to waste money on small towns in that state for no reason.
Interests. Do anything wedding related. Do weddings, wedding videography, wedding photography, wedding dress, wedding reception, wedding planners, etc., so that anyone who is planning a wedding will be targeted. This will also target some vendors as well, but that's great too. There have been times where Jake has booked a client because a photographer saw his boosted post and then recommended to their client that they book him for the video. Other things to target: age and gender, do 18 to 35. That's typically a good target range for brides. As for gender, only do females. And that's because we learned that males aren't as interested in the wedding planning. They usually don't have the same interests that the brides have, so don't spend money on males. Only target females because they're 90% more likely to follow you and contact you.
Next, you choose your budget. Instagram tells you your estimated reach for how much money you put in over a period of days. I found that doing promotions over a shorter period of time are best. That would push my video in a shorter period of time to more people and would help get greater engagement. If you want quick engagement, spend $20 or $30 over 2 days or something like that.
The best way to check to see if your promotions are doing well is to log into Facebook, and then in the top arrow, hit Manage Ads. This takes us to Jake's Ad Manager. Remember, Facebook owns Instagram, so if your business account is set up correctly, this is what you will see. Here we see all of Jake's promotions that he's run. We'll filter it by lifetime so we can see the history of all of them, and we're not going to dive too much into this right now, but the most important metric to look at here is cost per result, meaning that for this ad, for example, it took 23 cents for one person to click on Jake's profile, and a healthy click per result for this type of promotion is anywhere from 15 to 30 cents. Anything higher than that, and I would recommend adjusting your campaign parameters to achieve better results. And you can dive deep into your data to see who is converting well and who isn't, and determine what adjustments to make based off of that data. And again, we're not going to dive too much into detail about how to check your analytics. And again, remember that it doesn't matter how perfect your campaigns are set up. If your content is horrible, your campaigns aren't going to perform well. These promotions are based off of viewers liking what they see and wanting more. If they don't like what they see, they don't want more, so why would they ever click on your video? So work hard to make sure that your content is desirable so that your promotions are actually effective. Also, don't feel like you need to promote every single post. I'd recommend every few weeks, promote something that you feel is your absolute best work and that you know will attract people to your page and to your website.
The main goal for Instagram is, like I've said before, to post quality content consistently. Don't post crappy videos every single day or twice a day. People hate that. I post my videos once or twice a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks depending on how much quality content I have. You don't want to annoy people with average content. You want to feed them consistent, beautiful content every few days.
Instagram is a tool, and like any tool, it takes time to learn and practice to get specific results you need for your business and brand to thrive. So make sure to put some time into experimenting and learning Instagram to achieve the best possible results for your business. Hope this video helped, guys. As always, if you have any further questions, please let us know.